I guess we will have to get those realignment chops revved up here at the Voice of College Football. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for stopping by for the College Football Show. Leave those comments and questions there in the chat. We'll get you the link as well for the call-in show and Big Ten Media Days, ACC kickoff. Just call it Media Days going on in Vegas and Charlotte, but all of that business being preempted by North Carolina's possible move to the SEC, and we will dig into that. Let me get the call-in line there in the chat. Minnie Hunt is going to be joining us from Vegas here shortly, so I got to tell you, I don't know whether to start in on UNC to the SEC or wait for Minnie, but we'll get the call-in line here. I'm going to have to go dust off my North Carolina to the SEC videos from a couple years ago, See what I had to say a couple years ago, because we seem to be somewhat ahead of the curve at that point. Although I've got to admit, realignment, not my thing. I'm not going to be the guy with the first news or the breaking take on it. I will certainly have my thoughts about it, but don't come here for breaking news. I'm not a breaking news guy, but we will certainly analyze it. And again, we broke down North Carolina to the SEC, North Carolina to the Big Ten. And North Carolina is probably, along with maybe Florida State, the most debatable as to whether it would be in their best interest to go to the SEC or go to the Big Ten. Of course, geographically, it makes more sense for North Carolina to be in the SEC. And then you think about possible partners going with North Carolina. Now, the one thing that we have known for quite some time, if you have either listened to us on a few occasions, or I'm sure it's been out there elsewhere, that the SEC has really wanted North Carolina. And North Carolina, and this might be surprising, again, based on what we hear from what we believe are reputable sources, that North Carolina has been the school that the SEC is most wanted. And that would surprise some people, obviously, from a football standpoint, because it's not Florida State, it's not Clemson, it's not Miami, it's none of those schools. Well, Miami's been so mediocre for 25 years. Maybe North Carolina is Miami, but Clemson and Florida State have competed for national championships in the last decade. And so North Carolina would not seem to be that it program. But we will talk about it a little bit more and talk about why North Carolina is such a prized commodity, specifically for the SEC. But let's turn our attention back to the Big Ten, and let's go to Vegas and join the one and only Minnie Hunt joining us. And who else do we have here?
Tim.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Tim showing up.
That.
Look at that. He's all cleaned up. I didn't recognize him. No ball cap, and the hair's combed fine, looking good.
Like I said, put this in your. Say it one more time.
Tim, you had to point at yourself and do all these crazy things because I didn't recognize you without the ball cap. You're all cleaned up.
I know. I had to behave myself here at the media days.
Good for you.
He's behaving himself, so yeah.
Well, we want to get Tim's take on Lincoln Riley since he's been at the podium.
You want to go ahead and talk about Lincoln Riley here?
Well, I can't. I'm here to introduce it here, but I can't. But I gotta go right now.
Okay.
I can come back later.
Okay, he'll come back.
Come on back, Tim. Alrighty.
I wonder if it differs from mine. Okay. Good to see you, Tim.
Good to see you, Tim. Thanks for stopping by.
Okay. Yeah,
yes, Minnie. We will get the more knowledgeable USC take from you before we hear from Tim.
Let me just tell you. I mean, I guess we can just go ahead and start off with that, right?
Yeah, we can go into USC or however you want to take us through the day.
Well, to me, that was kind of, there were some highlights. We'll talk about those, but that was one major highlight that I would say happened today is Lincoln Riley. Last year he took the stage and he talked about how he felt that Mike Leach needed to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, right? And, it's interesting because I was able to reach out and talk to the National Football Foundation CEO, and they're affiliated with the College Football Hall of Fame. It's kind of one and the same.
And to quickly
And
interrupt, everyone should check out that interview that Minnie did. It's over on Corn Nation with, again, the president of the College Football Foundation.
yeah, his name is Steve Hatchell. Really wonderful, very connected man, and he's been doing this, I guess, a long time, almost 50 years. And I asked him, one of the questions was, I'm sure you get comments all the time about how is it really fair that so-and-so isn't in? I think, maybe we need to change some of the rules to get other players in and coaches. Well, I think it's interesting that Lincoln Riley did use his platform here at Big Ten Media Days to advocate for Mike Leach to be put into the College Football Hall of Fame. And because of that, they changed the criteria. And he's going to be inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. But then he also said, so since that worked last year, I also think that we need to go ahead and have Pete Carroll inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. I think he said he's one game away from their criteria. And when I asked Steve Hatchell,
hopefully we can get Minnie back, because I could go on about the College Football Hall of Fame all night and their asinine rules. Did we get you back?
okay, sorry, did it?
You just froze for a little bit there.
Okay, well, what I was just saying is he said that there's no way to change the criteria, that it's not, what did he say? I'll have to go back to the video, but he said it's not the almost good enough. Like either you're good enough or you're not. Like there's no in between.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm. And if we start making exceptions, then where does it end?
Well, don't have made up guidelines that don't make any sense. Let's start there. No other sports Hall of Fame has some arbitrary statistic that has to be met for anybody, because no statistic can define a career. No one statistic.
Okay.
All the statistics and all the context, you put it all together to make a determination. That's why all of these foundations and all these Hall of Fames have committees of qualified people, because if you could just run it through a stats machine and spit it out, then that would be great, but you can't do that. And when you just say you have to win 60% of your games to get into the Hall of Fame, you're going to clearly have coaches that are at 60.2% who aren't as qualified as those at 59.8%. So while I do agree that Mike Leach should be in the Hall of Fame, and I'm overjoyed and happy that they made that stipulation for him, why didn't they just get rid of the rule? It can be a guideline. I believe in guidelines to steer you in the right direction, but not a hard and fast rule. And now, so they've dropped it to 0.595 to allow Mike Leach to be in. But yes, to your point, who's going to be the next coach at 0.592? That Howard Schnellenberger, I know I'm switching leagues, Louisville, Miami, he should be in the Hall of Fame. To put his career into context, he took over 3 dismal programs, one of them a startup program. So that compromised his winning percentage greatly. When you're starting a football program, you're not going to have a great winning percentage, but he built them all into winners. So that compromised his winning percentage. So it just doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. But again, and when I asked Steve,
who is it that is on these boards that get to decide, get to vote, and they're made up of ex-head coaches and ex football players from all over the country. So they have them based in like every kind of geographical location, so that they can pull. So it's not just like from a particular school. So I would think, if you have a committee, they're capable of, deciding if, somebody has made an impact on the game or not. That's really what the bottom line is.
Yes, a strong impact. Either
Yeah.
you've made an innovation to the game, or you have influenced the game greatly, or you're just exceptional at what you do. You've won championships and multiple conference championships and all those things, or you're an innovator. And Mike Leach would fall more on the innovation side than the winning championship side. The other rule that they have many that makes absolutely no sense when it pertains to the College Football Hall of Fame for the players is that you have to be a first team All-America to be voted into the Hall of Fame. So think about this. You could be completely non-existent and have one amazing season and you're eligible for the Hall of Fame, or you could be a second team All-American for 4 consecutive years.
Yeah.
And you're not eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I brought this to somebody's attention that in the mid-20 teens, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, there was a glut of just high level, what turned out to be great NFL running backs that were exceptional in college. They couldn't all be the first team running back. There were 4 of them. Right. So only one of them was. So that does mean the other 3 did not earn their right to the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, exactly. And I did point that out because I remember you and I having this discussion when I spoke with Steve, and he said, it's not an almost good enough Hall of Fame. So, and he said there's absolutely no way we're changing any of the criteria.
Yeah. Well, I believe in high standards because it is the Hall of Fame, but I just don't believe in arbitrary numbers calculation, and to say everything above that line, nothing below that line, because there is no statistic that can define a career, one single statistic.
Yes. Well,
if I could rant for one further 10-second period.
Sure.
So just to bring this example to light, this hypothetical, your next Nebraska head coach could go 8-5 every season for 10 years in a row, and he's a Hall of Famer. Just because he goes 8-5 every year, and that's over 60% winning percentage.
Yes.
Doesn't really achieve much of anything, just goes 8-5 every year for 10 years.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right. No, that's a great point. That is a great point, actually.
Back to the here and now.
There were other coaches today, and Lincoln Riley. One of the other things that he talked about, just real quick on USC, is the impact of their general manager that they hired away from Notre Dame, the impact that he has made on their recruiting. Being in the top 5 recruiting class, and also, getting local guys in California.
Yes, USC can pretty much stay home, at least in regards to skill position players and defensive backs, and they don't need to leave the state of California, and they can be competitive.
Yeah. Well, and then you want to talk about UCLA?
Of course. I want to hear about everyone.
Yes, he also took the stage, which I have to say, much improved after last year. And he kind of joked about that to begin with. Is Bo Pelini eligible? I'll
Well,
have
I
to
think
look
Brett
and see.
Favre is double checking, and I think he's telling us that Bo Pelini is eligible. He went pretty much 9-4 every year at Nebraska. Yeah, that's like a 70% winning percentage. Yes.
I'll have to look at that that video that I did because there were some good things that Steve had brought up to me, but also in that we have all the players and coaches. I have a list of each that have been from Nebraska that have been inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. I can't remember all the coaches right off the top of my head.
Am I distracting you with the comments change?
Oh, you. Should he be in the Hall of Fame? I mean,
I think we need to get to the bottom of this NCAA scandal, and then we can make a better judgment call on that.
yeah, nobody brought that up yet. You better believe I'm going to make it over there to that side
Yes.
podium.
Yes,
Mhm.
that should be juicy. So back to UCLA and Deshaun Foster.
Oh, yeah.
What were the
So,
highlights there?
you know, he did a wonderful job this go round. And one of the questions that I definitely wanted to ask him that I didn't get a chance to is, you know, whether the NCAA settlement and the revenue sharing is now going to make his job easier, because that's one of the reasons why Chip Kelly left, was to help, or was because he was frustrated with the fundraising that he would have to do. And, you know, it just seems like that this particular revenue sharing coming to the school might help UCLA. So, yeah. He talked about last year and the progress of the team. He's
Well,
all
they were
football.
much better the second half of the season last year, for sure. You know that firsthand. They came to Lincoln.
Really?
Well, just pulling your credibility into it because you firsthand watched some UCLA football against the Huskers.
Yeah. Well, we play them again this season, and I'm really hoping that we take everything we learned from last year and just shove it down their throats. But let's talk about Purdue.
Let's go on to Purdue. Barry Odom. Okay.
Nobody wants to talk about Purdue. Poor Barry Odom.
We do here at the Voice of College Football. We talk about everyone.
You know what? The thing I got from him is that, number one, he's no stranger to building a football team, no stranger to being at the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, and working your way up. He has a system. I think he said, yeah, we have 16, I forget what he called it, 16 rules, you know, for our team going forward, mission statement, basically, 16 line items. And, you know, he's going down the, so it's systematic for sure in the way that he wants to rebuild.
It's going to be tougher for his players to remember those 16 items than to remember the playbook. 16.
Well, maybe it's for the coaching staff.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it was for. But yes. And you know, he brought Devin Mockabee with him as one of the student athletes. So I'm going to try and make it to that to talk to him.
Good player. Yeah.
Yeah. Great player.
Devin Mockabee's been around a while. It seems like he's been playing college football for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, he has. I think this is his last season. And then we also had Kirk Ferentz.
Very good. Yes.
He actually is the one who started today off. And he came out as he does, not a whole lot of hype, not like yesterday with PJ Fleck screaming at us, Viva Las Vegas, but it's more like he was giving a history lesson. And, he started off in 1981 when I first came to Iowa. Things looked a lot different then. And change, and then he talks about change, and change is something that you have to embrace. That's the one constant. And I thought that is really interesting because when I think of Iowa football, the most opposite word I can think of is change.
Yes. Stability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tried and true. They just keep going at it in the same way that they know how, right? With the defense being one of the top 20 in the country, and good on special teams as well. That's their tried and true. And so I asked him if he's embraced
let's stop right there. I'm sorry, Minnie. We just want to let everyone know that you made your Big Ten Network debut today.
Yes, I did. Minnie Hunt, the voice of college football. I said, Coach Ferentz, how have you embraced the change of utilizing social media for recruiting? And he basically said, I don't even know how to log on. I don't know where it is on my phone, but I have people for that, and they're good at it. And I thought that was really interesting because, he started off talking all this about change, and, some things you just have to kind of find your way and find a way to make it work for you. It's nice that you have people to help you with that, but I think it would mean a lot more coming from the head coach. I mean, who doesn't love a tweet coming out from their head coach?
Did anyone ask Kirk Ferentz about it possibly being his last season?
No.
Okay.
No,
But
no,
you
no.
will get to hear him possibly, unless there's some conflict with some other side session that you want to get to.
Yeah.
You could possibly hear him ask that because there's speculation. So talk about history. We're talking Hall of Fame. We're talking all that to start out our conversation. Well, Kirk Ferentz only needs 2 wins to be the all-time Big Ten record holder for wins.
Oh my gosh.
Passing
Wow.
Woody Hayes of the Ohio State University. Now, Kirk Ferentz has certainly lost a lot more games than Woody Hayes, but he will be the all-time leader in wins with 2 more.
Yeah, he said he's been at it for 36 years. A long time, isn't it?
It is.
And he said, another thing that stuck with me is in all of these years, the most change that's taken place has been within the last 3.
Yeah. A lot of things on the field might look more different over the other 33 years in terms of size of players and schemes and offense and defense. But in regards to running a football operation, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine. I think we talked last night about how Jed Fish has his hands in everything. He even is doing line items on spreadsheets for, numbers on salary. So I can't imagine having all that on your plate. Don't you get into it just for the love of coaching football? And then you have to be like you have to know a little bit about everything.
Yeah, most of these guys, there are some exceptions where you've got some kind of angle because you were an NFL player or something where you can kind of work into the higher levels of coaching pretty quickly. But for most of these guys, they were slugging through high school coaching or being GAs at universities and then fairly low paid assistant coaches at smaller schools. And, they had to work their way up. Most of
Yeah,
it.
that's a tough job.
Yeah.
And moving your family
Oh, you're
around,
moving all over the place.
you only can do it for the love of coaching the game. And now it just seems like that's very little of the job.
Doreen is also happy.
Doreen, I love her.
How did
Doreen,
that happen?
I have an Apple
Oh, well done. So
computer.
do I, but I would have no idea how to do that.
Oh, you don't do hand signals? Yes.
Well, no, the fireworks went off. You didn't see yourself in the balloons. Now you
Yeah,
get the
yeah,
balloons going.
yeah,
You get the
yeah.
fireworks
And
and
you
the
do, and then look,
yeah. I
yeah.
I'm not
Doreen,
much
I
for
I
hand
asked
signals.
Pickle yesterday one of your questions, so definitely look for that, and we'll talk about it on Sunday.
All right. And I know Kirk Ferentz is excited about his offense with new quarterback Mark Radowski,
Oh
and
yeah,
he's recovered from a shoulder surgery and should be ready to go.
yep. But he said I haven't even seen him play. He goes, to be honest, I haven't seen anyone. So
Well,
here we go.
hopefully, you've
But
seen him on tape.
yes, he has. He has.
Okay.
He did clarify that. Yes, he has. But the thing is that they're just now getting into fall camp. When they get back, and all the head coaches, they have this over with. They get their staff together. They get to finally be coaches. So,
Yeah, all this NIL business can be put on the back burner at least for a few months,
mm-hmm.
unless
Yep.
some disgruntled players aren't playing enough and then they opt out mid-season, like happened with a couple guys last year. So hopefully
Oh,
that trend doesn't increase.
yeah, I hope not. I hope not. I'm excited to see some football after today.
Well, I actually did not watch anything that you covered because I thought, you know what? I'm going to focus on the last 2 days and I'm going to try to play catch up. And I'm going to let Minnie, she's there. She can talk about everything that's plus, it's difficult to get too much online of what just happened versus just watching the Big Ten network. I could do that. But so I actually spent my afternoon somewhat multitasking, of course, but listening to PJ Fleck and listening to the side session with Matt Rule. So
Oh,
find it interesting that Matt Rule, now this could be a headline if taken without the context and the further explanation when he says, this was not a good job when I came here.
said that more than once.
Yes, he did. I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty blatant. Now, there was a follow-up question where I think he not caught himself. I don't think he was backing up from that, but he gave it a little bit more of an explanation that, this is a great job in regards to the bones, the structure of the mansion, as he called it, knowing, hey, you've got a great mansion, but it's not been taken care of for a long time and it's got to be polished up.
Well, him and his wife, because I sat right next to Julie Roll, his wife, and I've met her before. They are big fans and friends of, the fixer-upper couple, Chip and Joanna
Oh, yeah.
Gaines. So I found it very interesting that he likened Nebraska to having good bones, you know, like a mansion, beautiful mansion. But like you said, the shutters are falling off. It hasn't been painted in several years. There's things that are just totally outdated. But you see that there could be, potential here. That's how he described Nebraska. Taking the job as head coach.
I may actually dig into that a little further and post a video. We'll see.
Okay.
He likened Nebraska or college football basically in general to the NFL. So he made a lot of comparisons there, and that he would like to see college football be more like the NFL in marketing the sport,
Yes.
standardizing the sport. I got to say that I agreed with most of that
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, Jed Fish also said that something similar yesterday. And many of the things that he was willing to talk about, he kept referring to, well, if they do this in the NFL, we ought to be doing it as well.
Yeah.
So,
The only thing I don't agree with from a scheduling standpoint, and I get it from a marketing standpoint or just creating competition, having so the NFL gives the better teams from the previous season more difficult schedules, and gives the lesser teams easier schedules to try to create parity.
mhm.
I don't think that's fair. I don't think you should be, just because you're awful, should be given. I don't even think that the draft selection should go in order of the worst team selects first and the best team selects last. Why? Why? Why should you be rewarded for being horrible? So you're
Yeah,
going to be rewarded by getting the number one pick and getting the easiest schedule in football because you're horrible. I understand from a business standpoint to market the league, they're trying to create, again, parity. But from an equity standpoint, I would have a draft that would be completely random selections,
but
randomized
how?
first round.
How?
You put
Remember
all
what I told you? Remember? No,
drum.
no, no. Okay.
You do it.
Remember what I told you, Mark, that I noticed in Big Ten Media Days? If you sit on one side of
Oh, yes,
this big auditorium
sure.
and raise your hand, nobody looks at you. So today I decided I'm going to go over there and raise my hand. And then they saw me. But it just so happened to be where this announcer, the guy that sits on the stage and kind of, the MC, he's buddies with the guys that are over here. Because I saw them shaking hands and hanging out. Nothing is random. Nothing is randomized. There was a reason that they were all the questions were coming from this side.
My NFL draft selection process would be random. Okay.
Okay.
But enough about the NFL. So yeah, Matt Rule was entertaining, enlightening, a lot of good things
It
there.
was.
I am curious. I don't want to put you on the spot, but he kept referring to the Pete's.
Yes. Yep.
They must be
Pete
quite
family.
the donors.
Oh yes.
Must have mentioned them
Big
5
time.
times, like they've saved the
Big.
program basically.
They have single-handedly with their with their money. They definitely have. Which is, really curious because I always wonder, Warren Buffett lives just outside of Omaha. Why hasn't he donated to Nebraska?
Maybe he's not a football fan.
Yeah, but he's good friends with Ndamukong Suh.
Oh, Warren. Wait, whoa. I'm trying to picture this. Warren Buffett and Ndamukong Suh are buddies.
You didn't know this? Yeah. Ndamukong Suh is really bright man. He is a businessman. Um, and he's a real estate investor, and yeah, they're friends.
Okay. That's what we're looking for here at the Voice of College Football, a good businessman.
We need investors here.
Yes, for sure. All right. Did we get to everyone?
Well, you said you had another thing about another coach.
Oh, but in terms of everyone that was at the podium today,
Believe we did.
not
We talked
everyone.
about
Okay.
UCLA, USC, Purdue, Iowa, and Michigan State. I did talk about Michigan State, didn't I?
I thought Michigan was today.
Oh, Michigan. Yes. Michigan and Michigan State were today.
Okay. We missed 2.
So
All
who
right.
did I not talk about?
Neither Michigan or
Oh,
Michigan State.
oh, brother. Okay.
Jonathan Smith, or whomever you want to take first.
Yes. Well, Jonathan Smith, honestly, he had very little to talk about. Maybe that's why I didn't. He talked about his he's a great wide receiver. I was looking him up whenever he was talking about him as
Yes.
one of his student athletes, Nick Marsh.
Marsh. Yes.
Yep. Yep. Again, it's his second season in the program.
Yes.
Trying to remember what else he said. I can't recall.
All right. Let's move on to Sharon Moore.
Well, of course, I think he was most people's highlight of the day. But it was interesting because, he gets up there, he gives his whole, rundown of the program, what it looks like, what they're, doing going forward. All of this is expected. And then I would say after he was done, I don't know what the delay was, but there weren't any questions for him. Maybe because he was so thorough with giving us the rundown, and maybe because people are really afraid to ask the real questions.
Could be, or could be
But they
that
will.
he knew that if he wasted all of his time, that nobody would have time to ask questions.
Right. But I would say, his presence, he has a very strong presence, speaking voice, and he was just very thorough with going over the team.
Yeah. He's a good speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Yes. So.
All right, Minnie.
Nothing too startling there.
We'll let you go for your next round.
Yeah. This is the side podiums where it's more intimate, and it's interesting. I will say this. On my first day, because I've never done this before, I didn't know, kind of what you told me a little bit about it, but I didn't know exactly how to go about things. And I was looking at reviewing some of the videos that I had the first day compared to the last video that I had yesterday. The first day, I'm kind of standing at a distance recording. And then the last day, I'm literally like 2 feet away from the head coach I'm talking to. Well, yeah, I figured out you have to get in the mix, otherwise nobody will see you or, answer any of your questions. So
that's right. You got to
that's what I'm going to go do.
Yeah, for sure.
All
All right,
right.
Minnie. Great to see you. Thanks for the report. Minnie Hunt on location there at the Big Ten Media Days in Vegas.
Yeah. And if there's any questions that, these next coaches or student athletes that anybody would like answered, I'm here. So shoot them on over.
All right. We'll let you know.
Okay.
Thanks,
Sounds
Minnie.
good. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye. There we go. Minnie at the Big Ten Media Days in Vegas. All right, let's tap in on this North Carolina situation. And appreciate you being here. Settle in. We're going to go through this business with UNC. Here we go. This particular rendition, there are several out there. It comes down from Football Scoop. North Carolina reportedly among schools with sights set on SEC. Inside Carolina, I think that's a 247 outlet, I believe, shared today that North Carolina is among a group of schools seeking a potential departure from the ACC when the next round of conference realignment comes around. The report goes on to add that the Tar Heels could be considered a leader in the pack, along with ACC mate Clemson. UNC reportedly has their sights set on a move to the SEC should a move come to fruition. The ACC has a steep exit fee currently at $93 million, but That figure takes a significant dip to 75 million when the 2030 school year rolls around, and that could be a major deciding factor for the school if a move has not already been made by then. North Carolina, on the heels of hiring one of the most successful NFL coaches of all time, of course, Bill Belichick, is uniquely positioned to boost both their financial profile as well as elevate their brand over the next few years, and combined with their historic men's basketball program and success in multiple other sports, should be a relatively attractive school to add to a conference portfolio. And that was the point I was going to get to. When I think North Carolina and that addition to the SEC or any conference, but specifically to the SEC, where the footprint is basically there anyway, with South Carolina, of course, being the contiguous state to North Carolina. What the SEC does immediately is they pick up a basketball powerhouse, arguably the greatest of all time, the greatest basketball program of all time, arguably number one. Number two, they plant their flag in North Carolina. And they do it with the school, the state school in North Carolina. They get the land grant school in the state of North Carolina. And number three, basketball, North Carolina, and they get a great academic school in North Carolina with a lot of money, a lot of prestige, a lot of endowment. Yesterday, the football program announced that they have sold every available ticket for a 6-game slate for Belichick's debut season. So let's see. They play 8 conference games. They would play 4 at home. They only play 2 of 4, I guess, at home in non-conference play. Interesting. And that's the rundown from Football Scoop. Let's see if Athlons has anything to add to that. Before Los Angeles schools joined a conference with programs in Nebraska and New Jersey in a Power 5 conference collapse, the SEC got the ball rolling, as we know. Okay. Inside Carolina's Adam Smith reported that the North Carolina Tar Heels are eyeing a move to the SEC. Again, I could practically dust off some videos talking about the same thing. So we are not surprised. Make no mistake, now multiple sources told Inside Carolina the SEC is where the Tar Heels are aiming under the leadership of Roberts and Newmark. Should UNC move to leave the ACC for another league, perhaps in the near future? We went over the conditions there, which I have to admit that the ACC did not do as bad a job as I had first thought concerning exit fees. $93 million now, $75 million at the end of the current TV contract. So I got to tell you that I thought it went down lower than that. I know $18 million is $18 million and should be a big deal when you're talking about major universities that can do much better financially and otherwise in a different conference, going from 93 million to 75 million over the course of 4 or 5 years. Is it really that big a deal? If the Heels were to attempt to leave the ACC any year before 2030, the exit fees would range from 93 to 165. So it's currently 165. So we get a contradiction here between these articles. 93, 165. Let's see if Scott Doctorman says anything different than I have about why North Carolina would be a great candidate, even maybe more so than Clemson and Florida State. Charlotte being the location of SEC headquarters, the SEC network. I don't know if the SEC is located in Charlotte. It used to be located in Birmingham. It might be in Atlanta. I don't think it's in Charlotte. I think he means the SEC network. I might be wrong. There's still plenty of time for the ACC to find a fix that keeps everyone happy. Oh, so basically nothing was explained. So we didn't get anything out of that. We were told in that article that they were going to tell us why North Carolina was so attractive. They did not. I pretty much ran it down for you there. Okay. Interesting. Again, we may attack this one next here at the Voice of College Football. North Carolina to the SEC, Clemson to the SEC. I know we've broken down those numbers in the past, how North Carolina and Clemson have performed against the SEC in recent years. We will look at those numbers again and also make projections about how they could perform in the SEC. We do appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Thanks for dropping by. And we wrap up a Big Ten Media Days and also at ACC Media Days. We've got some guests coming up on Friday. And so make it on back for Friday's The College Football Show. Thanks for being here.